Welcome back, witnesses.
Sedol al bismillah.
Just before the break, we had discussed the incident of 14th and 15th December 2004.
Kachata kuola meni alon ko wala kita December karo til tannin nani nanin til tannin lulu 2004
which led to the mass arrest and subsequent torture of members of the Jambanjeli community.
Menata na sababu mutarola me alon ko jama ba wala kita Jambanjeli banku sate molla anin ke sinda ke tajriya ke sindidula killing.
Each of you have given us your experiences of that particular incident.
Altol donya mo kunkilina ko men late kan ya satale ko late kan nyame.
To the point when you were taken to the PIU headquarters.
Haninkabo futembedamendo yal bundi birikama yal samba para law korda bato.
Before the break, you told us that you were kept in the open at the PIU headquarters.
Andu njandembita fonyo ndingola aliya fo mole ko biri yal samba para law korda bato yal samba damendo wolem dinkira dum yalan ko dinkira kono fanu ringolam.
Can you tell us Mr. Samba, what happened when you arrived at the PIU headquarters?
Silang Mr. Samba faisa fono nyamuna keta biri ni futata ye futandi para law korda bato.
Yes.
When
we reached the paramilitary's compound, we were made to come down from the truck.
Paral nata iko kunung minul nata nge butele fonsaltol fanam bute.
And that's the time when the paramilitary came. They said the ones who were brought the day before were beaten. So you also who came today, we are going to beat you.
So yen tol minul nata kutake randi.
So that's how they made us stand in a line.
Ikumasta kallipa.
And they started beating us.
Anila o pipe fingol.
With their black pipes.
So wokonolem musudobi je parale mati.
During that, there was a lady who is a paramilitary officer.
Very senior officer le mati nak.
And she happens to be a senior officer.
O nata akonyino ko albute rostop nga fale ne malla fi ale mo le pakotenke.
That's the time when she came and intervened and told the para officers to stop beating. And she went on to tell them that I told you that you should stop beating.
O atole biti yele parokuma bula.
That's the time when they stopped beating us.
You told us that you were beaten with a baton.
Jallo, Bishop, you have the floor, please. Thank you, Chairman. Lord God of power and might, the creator, the sustainer, and the preserver of all humankind, created in your image and in your likeness, and planted in every nation of the world. We continue to ask for your divine mercy, particularly at this COVID time.
Didn't interact with them because we are all dumped at one place together.
Mr. Darboe, can you tell us the reception you received when you arrived at the paramilitary camp, whether it was the same as the rest of your community members?
Mr. Darboe, for ite fanan sa fono nye biri fudata ye fudandi para lo korda bato jindiri nyame ye bisimilande jindiri nyame na fa sa fono nye fani Mr. Samba tabe kilinda labang.
When we arrived, they told us to come down. The moment you come down from the truck, they will tell you, go and join that group. So when we went, we were all made to sit down.
Were you beaten when you arrived at the PIU headquarters?
ane malipa wolu ha wo kabir na pabian kumanda ntenga liparo sa told.
Well, I was beaten on the day that my dad called me.
Kabin pabian kumande la tala nankola para kilien sabana en tulo fada kwenye sije mantala.
When he called me, I got up to go and answer to him. But the moment I started moving, one para officer got hold of me, pulled me back and gave me a slap and told me, "You are not going anywhere, sit down here." That's the only time I was beaten.
Para do bije ataka finti suto akata natata akadololo minna nana natuta.
And, except one paramilitary officer, he goes out at night to go and drink alcohol. But whenever he is drunk and he comes back,
nanata donkilo babula kapos sara kulambe onatale balafa balo.
And he has a song called Sarakulembeng Natale Balafabalo. That means Sarakulembeng has arrived, the thing which has no pity. He will go to the tap, put water in a bucket, and come and start throwing this water on us. And he will even take stones and stone us. In fact, one of the stones hit me on my leg, which later gave me problems. He did that for 3 nights. I think he was stopped, and after the 3rd night, he didn't do it again.
Mr. Bayo, since all of you were kept at the same place when they arrived,
Mr. Bayo,
did you also experience this particular treatment from this PIU officer that Mr. Darboe is talking about?
Mr. Darboe kan meng fotang nyimpara ya meng maranya meng faida fana maranya kilimo yemuda wala jeba.
Yes, he throws water on all of us. In fact, he broke my head. He wounded me on my head with a stone.
You got injured on your head from the stone he threw at you, correct?
Inatana barmoso ro ikungo anu sababu da menda wala beronyi ndi ay memfai kan.
Yeah. Yes.
Can you tell us the severity of the injury on your head?
Isa fono nyo barmo nyinga ayo bero memfai menar na sababu barmo ay barmoso ro ikungo ala waja bonyin kete benyadile.
Ka fole be siring aka bero faina
mo waja bonyin barmo nyin na waja bombe nyadi.
Be sirin malla na faina
mo kete nyadi. Barmo nyin ala waja bo nya warata la bamfo barmandi wala.
Because I am kun farajang.
Yeah, it was a big wound because it split my skin on my head.
Can you tell us the size of the stones, that just to get an idea of the size of the stones that he would throw into the crowd as you were seated there?
Foi sa fo na beronyi jama kan bersifa nyaadi le ta ka fayal kan al kanji nal be siring ala waronyi be nyaadi le mesa malam wara malam kanyan dingolam.
Ate bulo benda bero fe aka mol bungala.
Well, he uses any stone that he can lay hands on.
Mr. Samba, were you affected by this stone throwing by this particular officer?
Mr. Samba, foi da fana nyim para nyim me alon ka atleka imbero nyim foi da fana yekole ya soto jele nyim bero nyim na fayo roba.
Bero yem male mambara mo soto jele bari bero yem male.
Yes, I was hit.
Sinya sabasi bero ka boyin kokan.
On 3 occasions, his stones lands on my back, although I didn't sustain any injury. But
my apologies. During those 3 nights that he consistently throw stones at you in the evenings and water, did any of the officers around stop him from doing it?
Wato men na be imbaro ke la nyin sudo sabul be me berota anin jioda ka fayal kan fo adonyo sarawisi la mo soto ndara me yalon ko aya bantambilita nyaado bam pour ka balala pour akana wonyin keba.
Yes.
Antung senior officer lemu.
Because he's a senior officer.
Junior officer sol minul kataraje.
The junior officers who used to stay on guard,
ika mutale ka fay ko kana oke.
They used to go and get hold of him and tell him, don't do this.
The 3rd night from Jannabi Nala.
The 3rd night before he came back,
aka wo nejulol ning wo palatol ning bolol minul ta ake jiobila ye betale tata ye mabo.
The buckets and pans and bowls that he used to take to go and draw water from the tap to throw it on us were all collected and kept away from the place.
Avira nata dobe kono wokae ko ye order dinale ko ikana nyinge koteke.
So when he came that night, there was somebody who approached him and told him that we have been given orders to tell you to stop what you usually do.
I stopped wole nyama.
That's how he stopped.
Can you recall the name of? You said he was a senior officer.
Iko nying mare nyimu kebala molem ni sarawisu bundar.
Can you recall his name and his rank at that time?
I hakilo sa to mutano la bangana makamo memba budo watola.
Ni manyina de sergeant olem.
If I can remember, he happens to be a sergeant.
Jallo le ma to.
And
Sergeant Jallo.
they call him Sergeant Jallo.
Can you recall his first name?
To follow do ye hakilo sa mutano la bang.
No, man hakilo ma ko to follow.
No, I cannot remember his first name.
How about the rest? Can you recall his first name?
Do kotangol dum fo hakilo si tol mutano la bang.
No.
No, they
Thank you
don't
very
know
much.
his name.
Jallo first name mo.
They just know the surname Jallo, but they don't know the first name.
While this was ongoing,
Tumalami la nyimbebe kering.
were you charged during this period for any particular offense?
Oye tumir dengal kango dala bang kafo ko ale nyine tinya luala karora bang.
Honey.
No.
You told us that you were kept in an open yard.
Ko yal mara dingira mendo dingira me alon ko akono be fanurim bagal.
Did you remain in that open yard throughout your detention at the PIU headquarters?
Fo al tuta o dingira nyine do yal mara damendo yalon to al ko jemu kono fan de kono nyi fan al tuta wal to ko maro kono je bang alla maro be kono bang.
Wotili lulo be nkalla damen katil nyang woletu.
Yes, for the duration of the 5 days we spent there. We spent the day at the same place and we spent the night at the same place where we were sitting outside.
Mr. Darboe, how about in the afternoon when the sun is really hot? Where were you made to sit?
Mr. Darboe silandung tilibulo la teng ni tilo be kandiring. Ikal samba minto le kal sindi damendo.
Nkatara jele. Nkatara otilo lo kono je.
We stay under the sun.
Ato wal biko mira ko nyimu hadama dumale ko nyanta tara dilal to dami dami be sumi ala domandi ko telefon be dami.
They don't even
Ato wal
think.
biko mira.
They don't think of taking us to a cold place. They don't mind about that.
You told us that your father, when you arrived at the PIU headquarters, you met your father in the veranda.
Iko biri fura para la dingira do ye fama tara perongo do koto je.
Te donna be ifeni ka ko je jimawte je.
He was the only person who was allowed to sit with them under the veranda there.
Naka tu complain la an ñunu bula ñunu man kuke min e kuke wal man tara jang.
And he is always complaining to them, release these people to go. They didn't do anything. The people who did something are not among these people, but they don't listen to him.
How about the other elders that were in the group?
Kebala ko do koto kebala mo do koto ngol dum men yalan ko be kafo nyin kono dum.
Adol ben fejele.
Well, there were some people amongst us there.
That is, if you know, any one of you can answer it. Do you know who was commanding the PIU at that point when you were detained there?
Nyini karo fanore non pural to mo sabobe ni momo e jabiro so fo ali yala ne ban jumala be nun nyaton kaya ke kanun ko paral la kordani kono je wo watola.
Yes.
Biran Juflem. Biran Bay.
His name is Biran Bay.
During your detention, did Biran Bay ever come see you?
Allah maro nyi wato nyi kono je sansan kono je paral la korda kono je fo nyi Biran Bay nyi anana na ta je le kanal ku kumba boba
Ala officer nyati ngola mbe wolto.
We were sitting right in front of his office.
Afuntita officer kono ra nyaka tilin tollel.
The moment he steps out of his office, he stands facing us.
This question goes to Mr. Bayo.
nyini karo bita Mr. Bayo le ya.
As at the time when you were being stomped on, water was poured on you and you were beaten, was Mr. Miranbai present?
Wato men na tarta ke lipa anung ye jikan ye nyinji su ji fananta ka so ikang. Fo ni Mr. Miranbai abe maberi ngela ba.
Yes, Abeoje about our office.
Yes, he was inside his office.
Did he at that point do anything to stop his officers from maltreating you?
Ata Miranbai fo ay ku sota la way menke ban kaje ko ala do ku la ni memu nyim paral di pour ay bantambili nyaato ka fo ko nying albe mbaro men alabula.
Yeah, get now stopped, but I'm not stopped.
Well, if he has intervened, it would have been stopped, but he didn't do anything.
Can you recall the names of any other officer that was involved in torturing you at the PIU headquarters?
Fo hakilo si para kilimuta to muta no jerba me ya lonko adabula ile tajire ya kono mem menkete la para lo korda baroje.
What on Dolma Lafika all long?
At that time, we didn't want even to know them. We were not interested to know them.
So you were not able to recall any of their names?
Amunda hakilo ma han mo kilin to mutano.
No, because in the Beckham naming can.
No, because I was angry about what happened to me.
But the boss brand buying all on.
But I know their boss, Biranbai.
Yes, Mr. Samba, you wanted to say something?
Mr. Samba elafta fenne fola.
Yes.
Yes.
The then IGP Tatin Baji addressed the gathering before the beating, but the beating started when he left.
Tatin Baji, who was the then IGP, came and addressed us, but he left the place. After he left, that was the time when the beating started.
Kando atele ko altole kanna mol kelendi ibe jol altole ako
Because
take revenge.
Because what he said when he addressed us was, you are the people who decided to fight my officers. They will have revenge on you. Then he told them to take revenge. But it was when he left, that was the time when the beating started.
And he was the IGP at that point?
No jamano la tele munung police wala kuntongoti wakala fme IGP.
Yes, he was the IG at that time.
And you were saying that he gave the order for you to be beaten at the PIU headquarters?
No, amunde kamem for commission e jam wala nyinde ko atele kangu nyindi puru yaltol ye malla wala ya liba para law dingira doje.
Yes.
Mr. Bayo, you mentioned that you were tortured for 3 days.
Mr. Bayo, ya fo janko ye bude ye liba membira fo tilisaba.
From the narrative from the rest of your colleagues, they were only tortured once when they arrived at the PIU headquarters. Can you please explain to the Commission why you said you were tortured for about 3 days?
Yes, because Kabiri Muta first day.
Yes, because when we were arrested on the first day, we were beaten all the way until we reached the camp. And we were beaten the second day. The third day was the day my head was split. So that's why I said I was beaten for 3 days.
Thank you for that clarification.
Can
you tell us if during all these ordeals, some of the minors were still within your mess at that PIU?
Aninka bi foisa fo no nye wato membela nyunko betama kan ikan nyindindi na mol me yalon ko ali ye fo janko e fana ye mutale fo e fana bal kono jele ban kafo kono je.
Yes, the minors were amongst us.
Can you roughly tell us how many minors were detained with you at the PIU? That is, if any of you know.
Altol mo be kono ñinin kar kono fanu rengol de altol be kono je fo alsa lonno le bang dindina mo jelle bal feje no maro kono je wato men albe je
mo lulu si
le mo 5 sile.
There were about 5 of them.
And all these 5 individuals were subjected to the same ordeal as you were while you were at the PIU.
Andung amundala ko ñindindina mo ñim fanan Mr.
Bayo, you can answer the question.
Mr. Bayo.
These people don't leave anybody.
Thank you very much.
Nubarabake.
Mr. Darboe, can you tell us for how many days you were detained at the PIU, that is the entire group?
Mr. Darboe, for sa fono nye wati jellem ay wati jelle si tarta Morocco no je warandu lun jellem tarta Morocco no je o kafo nyin kono je.
5 days at the PIU.
We spent 5 days at the PIU.
6 days in Jangole in Samba, Yamurune Brikama, Kitia.
It was on the 6th day that we were taken back to Brikama and they said we were going to face a trial. We were taken to the court and we were sitting down there. Up to some time, they told us to come out again and board a truck.
Order to mile 2 CJ for further notice.
So when we were being taken out, we were informed that they got orders that they were going to take us to mile 2, where we were going to sit down and wait until they sort out whatever is going to happen.
Mr. Bayo, can you please tell us if when you arrived at the court you were taken before a magistrate?
Mr. Bayo, hanin kabi foi sa fono nye wato mena yal samba kiti bundaro. Foi yal samba kiti tela dole nyato, kiti tela nyati ngola ba.
Kabrim furara magistrate arajele.
When we arrived, there was a magistrate.
Mola names you called.
He called our names.
Kabri parada wala.
When they were ready with that,
Koremain.
they said we are going to be remanded.
So it was the magistrate that remanded you to mile 2 prisons?
Amunda magistrate wonyi wale kangodi mbata yamaro di puru yal samba kasibungoro.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Samba, can you tell us if prior to you being taken to the magistrate court, were any of your statements obtained by the PIU officers?
Mr. Samba, for isa fono nya hanin kabi janning ibal samba la kiti bundaro. Fo wato men albe Morocco no para la dingira nyindo je. Fo wati soron dala ban wato men yesi ndikela kuma kamuta ya safe.
Yes.
A day before mbita tenelungo len tata court. Dimasi lungo yen statement star.
We were taken to court on Monday, so before that Monday, on Sunday, they took our statements.
While taking your statement, did they charge you for any particular offense?
Wato men na bela kuma kan yin tala ka safe. Fo tumir soton dala bang yemen de ikan oda ka fo ko yen luwa tinya bunda karle tinya ngole lekan.
Honey, iman charge.
No, we were not charged.
You were not. Was any document read to you stating that you are charged under this particular section of the laws of the Gambia?
Fo kaiti soton dala ba me yalon ko ya kareye ka fo ko yen luwa bunda le tinya me yalon ko Gambia banko ka luwa le nyinti yewle nyi bunda le tinya fo yo soton dala ba.
Individually the imo okay, but kabirim for the courthouse. Magistrate kabira and the names you'll be read. Anata foleko altole balanta ali rioting ke jamanjeli kono.
What happened, they didn't do that individually. But when we went to the courthouse, after they read out our names, the magistrates addressed us saying that you are the people in Jambanjeli who decided to resist to the police who came there.
Otola ko yang remind.
That was the time when he said that we should be taken to the remand.
Mr. Bayo, how about the 5 minors that were with you? Were they also charged along with the rest of you?
Mr. Bayo, hanin kabi nyindinda mol me alon ko e bal fedum fol fanan keta mol der me alon ko ye tumiro de ikan oda ban ko ya yemen ka yalta ke nyamemba.
Yes.
Yes.
The minors were charged with you, that's what you're saying?
Mun dayre kam mem fo wala nyindi ko nyindinda mol nyi wol fanan keta mol der me alon ko ye tumiro de kan wala ko ye tumi nyame.
Ye charge ye sama Joshua.
They were charged and taken to Joshua.
We received another statement from one of the minors who's by the name Lamin Kamara.
nga kuma kan safere ngosoto mo dindina mo kilimbulu jang ika me Lamin Camara.
Lamin in his statement stated that
Lamin ala kuma kan safere ngoto aya infoje ko
on the 6th day,
ko nyin tilworo njango
some of the students were released
karamudo dinno dol beje mi alan ko ye mutale ye bulale.
and the rest of the adults were charged and taken to Mile 2 prisons.
E bala mol nyi menu tutaje yewol tumiro de kangoda inarne samba kiti kaso bungoto.
Was that the case?
Ko nyi belare wala nya.
Lumine ndol bela mile to the new din nol bela nata nyola. Itate kama na Joshua ne samana.
The day we were released from Mile 2, they went and collected these minors from the Joswang prison and brought.
So you were saying that some of the minors were also taken to the court with you when you were being charged.
Amunda e kamem fo ila kuma kan wala nyindi ko nyindindinda mol nyim fanan ket mu mollet men yalon ko e ye tumiro de kan dale andu ye samba ye ni samba nyola le biri be samba la kiti bungoro.
Ndol bele bije kabiri mum nata wi ndol samba kam mile 2 ye ndol samba Joshua.
We were all there when they were taking us to Mile 2. That was the time when they were taken to Joswang.
Sorry, Mr. Darboe, as far as you can recall,
Mr. Darboe come itala hakiloto isime mutano.
were all of you charged before the magistrate court?
Fo ya tol be ye tumiro de al kan dale yal samba magistrate kiti bunda kilongol to ba.
Awo tumir kilingol yembe tumi ne la nga luati nyamina ka paral kelendi.
We were all charged with the same thing, that we are the people who fought the paramilitary officers.
And did you have access to a lawyer prior to you being taken before the magistrate court?
Janni bal sambala kiti bunda nyinto fo ale silo sotala bam pour al ni loya nyoje bankali yamari.
Ani.
No.
What was the response of the members of the community to the charges levied against them?
Come again with the question.
What was the response of the members of the communities that were detained to the charges before the magistrate court?
Silang muta mol nying muna kete to la jabir dati tumiro la emelle mending e kangoda tumala men na itata kiti bundaro.
Ntolman fen soton be men jabila woto fu mol la kumbode kandun kabirin ako ibe sambala remind le dol bije woli kumbo commencer le.
Well, we had nothing to respond to them, because when they said that we were going to be taken to remand, some people started crying.
Andung akanyim min foko ye dol release le tonya le mu tenelungo somanda kabirin iben sambala court ye keba woro nyong release le anin dinding fula ye wol release le.
Well,
bari
what he said is that on Monday morning, about 2 minors plus 6 elderly people were released to go home on Monday.
Wokola le mu kabirin bota courthouse ye dindil lulu samba Joshua.
It was after that, when we left the courthouse, 5 of the minors were taken to Joswang.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samba, for that clarification.
Mr. Samba ila wasanendiroto.
Can you tell us what happened after you were remanded by the court at Mile 2 prisons?
Silam faisa fono nyahanin kabi mune natana ke biring kitiyo e kangodi puri ye samba kasoro yeta sije folo.
Yen samba le tata yen dundi remind.
We were taken and remanded.
Masuta kilineke remind.
We spent only 1 night in remand.
Wo samo
The following day,
inata yen samba one-man cell.
and we were all taken to one-man cells.
Ntolning Baba Job nyol aning farafenya attackers aning landing sane nyol ntol belebe dula killing.
Myself, ourselves, plus Baba Job. where
Landing
landing was.
Sane, and Bawa Job was opposite me.
And Baba Job was opposite his cell.
So as a Keno Jelemu security wing.
It could be that place was the security wing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samba.
Inumbarabaga, Mr. Samba.
Mr. Bayo, you wanted to say something?
Mr. Bayo, kumala be buli lafta ka member foba.
No lapta jele bamban la security wing lem.
Yes, I wanted to emphasize that it was the confinement security wing.
So the magistrate asked that you be remanded at the remand wing of Malto prisons.
Bare magistrate we kan mendi wala nyindi yal samba kala samba remand wala nyindi menula kuma kan ma diamo mambam folo ke mabo dami yal samba woro.
However, you were taken to the security wing instead.
Bare hanin kabi wonya kilo nyama narna ko nyim fali yal samba security wing.
Mr. Darboe, can you tell us? Mr. Darboe, can you tell us, that is, if you know, why you were taken to the security wing of Mile 2 instead of the remand wing?
Mr. Darboe, afanya banya rayalo dalilo me asabu yal samba security wing andu manke nyindi ya kitio ikamendi ya ko inyanal samba dami do remand imal samba woro fo ini yalo afanya.
Ani ma wolon ne barbudum kabin tol yen samba je ngasuta kilinke je.
Well, I don't know that reason, but when we were taken there, we spent one night there. The following day when they came, they said we shouldn't have been there. That was the time we were taken to the security wing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Darboe, for that explanation.
Mr. Darboe,
Mr. Bayo, can you tell us if any of the detainees suffered any injuries as a result of the previous tortures meted on them?
Mr. Bayo, for isa fono nye nyimuta mol nying fo kole ya soto ndala baye bensoro ibala jato lubala tumalame ya lonko muta folo nyi wato mene tajiri al menkala kasuji ni wala foyo kole ila muto nyi wato kono foyo soto leba.
First of all, ntefango ikatula mula bambutu la lalo.
First of all, with myself, they used to rub my body with shea butter.
Because ila olive oni momo lepa wala ni memu bambutu la yelo betule balokon.
Because the instrument they used to beat us with, if you are not rubbed with shea butter, well, it will create problems for you because your body will remain swollen.
Yeah, okay. Every day.
Every day we have to rub each other with shea butter.
So you nursed your injuries in Mile 2?
Amuntal family ala dimingulu jara Mile 2.
No one.
Yeah, we have to do it ourselves because there was no one to help us.
Were you provided any medical assistance while you were at the PIU headquarters?
Even food, we have to buy it for ourselves. Much more medical, treatment for or medical treatment.
And,
more 15 years
because 50 people, if you bring just 2 plates of food for them, that means that you are denying them food. So those who had some money on them, you have to send somebody to go and buy bread for you.
I don't go.
So in fact, there are some para officers there. If you send them, they'll tell you that no, they are not going.
So the food that they were giving you at the PIU headquarters was not sufficient for the large crowd.
Munda ika domoro men dia la para lo korda baro je domor le me yalon ko mansi abuka si puru jamani membe.
Ndol momem baby to ndola food sotola no.
They cannot provide for all of us who were detained there.
Mr. Samba, would you like to say something about that particular point?
Mr. Samba, ila ftaka fenne jansa okuma ka onyindo ba?
Because me, I had some money with me. Every morning I have to take out some money and give it to the para officers to go and buy food for me.
Because
in fact, the food I buy is not only for me, myself alone. We all used to have some part of that food. This is why a lot of us who were detained together, a lot of the detainees came closer to me.
And throughout your detention at the PIU headquarters, you told us that you were kept in the open area.
ila mutaro ni wato ni bego no para lo korda bato je ye mfonye ko itarta marobe ngono wolen dingira me alongo dingira kono fanure ngolam.
Throughout the day, both in the morning, afternoon, night, you were on one particular location in the open.
Suto tili somanda ulara ikatara dingira kono fanure ngoni netron.
Nte damante den yen tol minul be diten tol bebe jurumuri nyokang dula kilene tiloka nala ay lonkang fa boy suto sumya e lankang fo fanoyeke.
It was not only me, it was the whole of us who were detained. Daybreak, the sun will be on us from morning up to, from dawn to dusk, and also at night. The cold will come on us from dusk up to daybreak.
Mr. Bayo, can you tell us about the conditions at the Mile 2 Central Prison when you went there?
Mr. Bayo hanin kabi fo isa fo nanye Mile 2 kasi bungoro je al halo benu nyaari la biri ye samba ye.
Very bad.
Very, very bad.
Can you describe it to us just with few words?
Je al halo nyimbe nyame fo isa fatam fansi no nyelwa ni kuma dandan na ba.
Bumi alongo 1 meter. Ni la plywood ka yesingo tiling abuka tiling. Ni sita yesingo kete kumbalingo ka woloma.
A room which is almost about 1 meter.
Yesindiwo kono 24 hours.
Length and breadth. You sit down in that room for 24 hours. If you want to stretch your
Only
legs,
10
you
minutes
cannot.
you have rest to go out. 10 minutes and come back.
You have only 10 minutes breaks to go out and come back. You can't even stretch your legs inside those rooms.
Very bad.
Very bad.
And food also is bad.
And the food also is bad.
We have indeed received extensive testimony about the food that was served to inmates in Mile 2 prison.
Nga sedandri jama bala soto wala karola do muro nyi me alon ko wala kadi ka molla me alon ko be mutari kasoro je nga sedandri jama bala soto wala ko amambere ya.
Mr. Darboe, can you tell us if you were ever taken to court while you were detained at Mile 2 Central Prison, apart from the first time that you were taken to court and remanded?
Mr. Darboe fo isa fono nya hanin kabi ning abota lum folo nyi me alon fo yesamba kidi lar wato men na yesamba na remand fo lunna na soto ndala ban ko rekata ke murunde kidi lar ba.
Ani man na murundi je ko take.
No, we were not returned. We didn't go back to the courthouse.
Abe kabir mbota Mile 2 ye release wala nyam.
When we left Mile 2 was the time when we were all released.
While at Mile 2 prisons, did you have access to your families?
Wato men na be Morocco no Mile 2 fo e kasilo soto ban pour ni la dimbale nyoje ba.
Ani monen man nan jibeje.
No, nobody ever came to visit me there.
How about you, Mr. Samba? Did anyone ever come see? Did they allow anyone to see you while at Mile 2 prison?
Mr. Samba ita dum ita be wato men be Morocco no je fo ye silo di ka silo di la ban pour ila dimba waranto ila mol kane kumpa boba.
Hani.
No.
Monen man naji.
And Mr. Bayo, did that apply to all of you that were detained at Mile 2 prisons for this particular incident?
Mr. Bayo fo nyin ko la nya kilmo lemba wala ketal bela ban wato men na be Mile 2 Morocco no je nyin ko kono ba.
The same thing.
The same thing.
For how long were you detained at Mile 2 Central Prison?
Alta itarta Morocco no Mile 2 fo wati jelu.
I think 27 days or 26 days.
Yes, it was
Na mera
around,
tilimwani wora ula.
Can you tell us what eventually led to your release?
Silang fo isa fo no nye muna natana sababu fo inatana ibula.
Ntoli bijere ebika kuma fonna kodo mobika balbita kodle mobuka vale inneke.
we were just remanded there. Nobody tells us anything. Nobody tells us that we are going to court. Nobody gives us any information. We were just left there.
Volungilim bije.
Till one day when we were there,
La keba nada eko order from up iko albula.
when one of their senior officers came there and said, well, they have got word from the top,
Office of the President.
OP, saying that we should be released.
Sorry, the witness said order from up.
Up,
Is that
up.
not what you said, Mr. Bayo?
Mr. Bayo, up. Yes, that's what he said. They said information came from up, saying that we should be released. When we were released and we went home,
na wives nyol na mother nyol na sister nyol
our relatives, wives, sisters, and mothers,
ko itara ya jame ya sifo farm
they said they went to meet Yaya Jammeh at his Sifo farm,
adani
and they pleaded with him.
ava ndingolu na musolu nkemanyolu mfamanyolu ibe mutaring
And they told him that our sons, our husbands, our fathers are under custody.
koen manda bente nalman na jambe ku kelela
Then that's the time when he told them that they are lucky.
ko kana sojaro le kelendi
They are lucky. Had you people not approached me in this manner, I was going to deal with them severely. They are the people who decided to fight my officers.
koni musol man nanin kelle nada nunga bol fang mutala ol sambantol bedame
He said they were lucky that it was the women who approached him. Had it been that he was approached by males, he was going to arrest all of them and take them to jail too.
abire nada na musole wala fonye
When we came home, that's the information our wives told us.
And when you said orders from up,
Niko kango kabo santo.
what did you mean by that?
Ilo koto muneri.
mamo ko itara ya jame ya dan op wala ya jame
Up, when I say up, that means Yaya Jammeh, because that's what happened.
This was after spending about 26 days in detention at the Mile 2 prison.
Amunda nyingi sorta wati me yalon ko ye tili muang ani woro yo ke Morocco no kasoto.
Yes.
Mr. Samba, remember earlier in your testimony you told us that some people were injured when the soldiers fired warning shots on the ground.
Mr. Samba, hakilo murundi koma ye infonye nunkoma ntonuko wato men nanyi sojarol nata dinkira nyinto je ye kido kumande je kido fay te du manoka
Modul
baramata je
Were those individuals arrested?
fo mol fana menu baramata je wol fana keta mol de me yanko ye mutalaba
lungo menne be mbulale tate kamalo petano letu
The day we were being released, they went to collect those people from the hospital. And we were all released together.
So those individuals were eventually given medical treatment at the hospital.
Amonto omari nyol nyin kido nyi yemenu barama yewol samba loptano do kata jaraji.
Yes.
Can you tell us the impact of this particular incident? You being part of the VDC, can you tell us the impact of this particular incident on the community of Jambanjeli?
Silang faisa fono nye nyim ko nyim be kirin ko la ay mun ko ya kulle sabu ma ka tuite keta molti me ya lon ko mum molti me ya lon ko alfala muidi kabo sa te wala yirwa ka fo nyindo imu ka me VDC ay mun ko ya kulle sabu ma
wala ya follow
the first problem
lungo min ye mol muta wo samo keta jele.
The first day that we were arrested, the following day somebody died there.
Kebal dammale tata je pour ka dinko sing ima sinno fo parallem nata ke makoy kaburo sing.
Only elderly people went to the grave site to go and dig for the deceased's grave. They were even unable to dig properly. It was the para officers who came to help them to dig that grave. Because at that time, all the young men has left the village.
Ikadun korda to korda bungto bung ikadun bungol kono fe kala rangol wulindi kala rangol koto jube ka tujarol kono jube ni fondinke jero ka mutale.
The reason for that is all the young men who were not arrested has decided to leave the village because they went round the whole village, compound to compound, and in every compound, house to house. And sometimes, in fact, they have to look under the beds looking for young men. Any young man they decided they see, you will be arrested. This is why nobody was left in the village. No young person was left in the village.
Go on, please.
Then?
Andung wokola.
After that,
Biring nyinko tambita ay karinim feng sile hani yirwa feng ku kilim buka keno sate okono.
it took us more than 1 month and before we were able to do anything that happens to be part of development.
Andung wo mutaro kono lemu.
And it was during our incarceration
Inata ye o pumping machine o nyin wutu anin tanko anin solar panelol ye be samba.
that was the time when they came. They dismantled the pumping machine, the solar panels, and the tank were all removed and taken away.
Kolongo nyim fongo ya tu datu yelerine kabirim bota mile tu nte fongo le tata foji pour kata kolongo jube nga data yelerin nga berota nga laka.
And the well was left open. It was me personally who went there to go and check the place. So when I saw that the place was open, the hole was still open, I decided to take a stone and cover the hole.
Aya tinnale fo kabiring nawek dunta nanne mol kumasta ka jio soto.
In fact, from that on, we were unable to get water until when Nawek came again into the village. So that was the time when people were able to get water in their compounds. Because that borehole that they left there, we have to give water according to ration. We have to ration people with water.
So manda 4:10.
From the morning, early morning, up to 10 o'clock. We have to lock the tap.
10, 11, 12 nga yele.
10, 11, 12, we open it again.
12 nga sorong.
And we close it again at 12 o'clock.
For 3.
Till 3 o'clock.
Nga yele kotenke.
We open it again.
For 5.
Up to 5,
nga sorong.
we close it.
For samu.
Till the following day.
O tatale for about 7-8 years. For kabirin nawek nata ye kolbe take over.
That went on for 7 to 8 years. It was after when Nawet came for this water expansion, that was the time when things were eased up.
Mr. Bayo, you were severely beaten.
Mr. Bayo, you take a multi alongo, you take a bagale.
Bagade.
Seriously.
What was the impact of this beating on you and the rest of the people that were in your group, since you were the most, you were the ones that were most beaten by the paramilitary officers?
Muna kita kole akol de me yalongo wala lati kang ay men saboy bima ila mol me yalongo yini idonyol me muranyola tumala men etel kita modi me yalongo yetel tajire ya baga katambi wolde ay mun kole akol de sabuyima
nte hadisa inama mandambalo kono.
Well, as for me, up to now, when the pain, when this pain comes back to me, sometimes I'll sit down for 2 days without doing anything because I used to feel it all over my body. Because the time they were beating me, I don't realize it much, but afterwards, I felt everything that they did to me.
Yeah.
It really affected me.
Mr. Darboe, your father was among that group that were severely beaten at the village and also at the PRU headquarters.
Mr. Darboe, ita kita multi me alongo ifa ma mu kita multi me alongo ya tajire ya sato nyin kono jela aning para lo korda baro fana.
How did this incident affect him?
And
also, if you know the other elders that were also beaten and arrested.
Yes, he had difficulties.
I mean, for Nyako, aketa e kodi moti.
What he told me was that he developed backache from that.
Wonata batandi back.
And that really seriously affected him.
Ning koma fana kadonte na telebe watonte na telebe mararing sinkiro ninte mantaraje atalaka taraje.
Because both of us were responsible for fish money and feeding in the compound. If I am not around, I used to send money to him. So when we were both taken away, it really caused a problem inside the compound about food.
Wala problem wala tina fang ndabulata yimko kona ay
This is how I became involved in this problem, because he called me to go and buy rice and bring it home because the rice at home was finished. So both of us were involved in this problem, which went on for nearly a month. It really caused a problem at home. This is why my aunt, my father's younger sister, she was the person who was taking care of the family to help them. She's called Makebe. She really helped the families very well. Well, the difficulty I had is that I was wounded on my leg, and when I performed ablution, the water went into the wound. So after performing ablution, the water that used to go into the wound later on swelled up, and I had no medicine which I can apply to the wound. So I had a friend who also was a paramilitary officer. So one day he came to visit me when we were in detention.
Officer tandila ko mbina kan do ko le yemuta silo kan na sate to problem wal kedaje e ko bawo mo sate diol so mfana ba konon.
So he was the person I sent to my workplace to go and inform them that, well, I left my village on my way and I was arrested on the way as far as the incident happened in the village. So they said all villagers are involved. So this is how I was arrested. So I sent him to go to my workplace and give them that information.
Mr. Kamara, another
Then that was the time when he explained this thing to our HR human resource officer, Mr. Kamara. He is somebody who decided to consider that for me. Then I didn't get any problems out of that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Apart from the hardships that you faced individually, the rest of the community also equally faced similar hardships because their breadwinners were arrested and detained.
Amunta woto jamaa molu fanalu membe su wol fanali okole akilimole taki katu menu ka baluo si woluma ye wolle mutawonya betun silam baluo buka bono wol buluka futandi dimbaya aluma su amunta wol fanali okole atakile.
Was that the case, Mr. Samba?
Fole ketaba Mr. Samba?
Ha.
Yes.
Kantung mojama kantung paka futa fango.
Because Paka Futa himself, when he was released after the detention, he didn't recover until he died.
Aliketa fanang wole ketala aman kende afafata.
That's what happened to Ali Keta too. He didn't recover until he died.
Sadibu Sedi hanisani alanjurtala asingol abukatama no bakefang.
Sadibu Sedi was also impaired because he cannot even walk nowadays.
How long was it after their release that these two individuals died, Pa Kafuta and Ali Keta?
Ali Keta ni Pa Kafuta. Ye bula wato meng aning ila saya tema ay wucheje leta.
Pa Kafuta da amantambi kari sabala. Ali Keta fanang amantambi kari woro.
Pa Kafuta it was around 3 months, and Ali Keta also it was about 6 months before they died.
And what would you attribute to the cause of their death?
Sayitila miroto ila saya asababu Keta muneti.
Yalon santon kollem.
Well, these people are rural dwellers.
Imam lopitan kulong.
They don't know anything about hospital.
Wala na imam medical certificate soto.
This is why they didn't have medical certificates.
Bari kabiri buta wo detention okono.
But from the day they were released from detention,
Ibe larin laran kane foi futata lakira.
they were only lying on their beds until they died.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samba.
Inumbara bake, Mr. Samba.
Thank you very much, Mr. Darboe.
Inumbara bake, Mr. Darboe.
And thank you very much, Mr. Bayo.
Mr. Bayo ifanang inumbara bake.
Thank you for answering all of my questions.
Nimbara alienna nyinin karolu be jabi.
Mr. Chairman, that will be all from me for the witnesses.
Yeah.
I'll hand them over to you now.
Thank you very much, Council, and thank you, Mrs. Bayo, Darboe, and Samba.
Chairman ko Alnumbara Bake, Mr. Bayo, Mr. Darboe, Mr. Samba.
Nimbara.
Thank you too.
For years, the people of Jambanjeli endured severe violations of your rights.
Sanji jama komando mol me alon ko be jambanjeli la nyantol tinyata.
Through massive torture of innocent individuals,
Tajire ya jamal me alon ko wala kita mol la je me alon ko man fenke imam ibulu mamma isim mamma.
Collective punishment of the entire community.
Sa teo jama mo jama kawol be kata ki kafunyo ma ke tajire ya ka kolya le kan.
Through denial or severe restriction of their access to water.
Kabala ila kula me ya lonko ila nyanto len puru ka jisena osoro kabala ila wala.
Innocent individuals were unlawfully detained and incarcerated.
Molla modol me ya lonko e bulu mamma e simmamma e muta ye sindidula kilin drong.
And all these violations for absolutely nothing.
Ndu nyanta tinyal be me ya lonko e keta e mangda e malla hani dalila kan.
This is not good at all for the country. Commissioners, if you have any questions, please indicate. Commissioner Kinte, you have the floor, please.
Commissioner Kinte bay ñinin kala.
Ngal be kondong ngal jay.
I extend greetings to all of you and hail all of you. Thank you. I'm sorry for the hardships you encountered because of you need clean water. You were narrating how you were arrested.
Muta follow alko ye memuta ye bayo nyinenka ko asisiamo tanane tele.
Well, according to Bayo, he said the first arrest were more than 40 people.
Ablay fanandunko asamo birina ta kamaya fananen dolle muta nyola.
And Ablay also said the following day when he was arrested along with some other people.
Lamin Darboe woko yata fananen menu muta moto fale mo tansaba.
And Lamin also said he was arrested along with people who filled the truck, about 30 people. It's very important for us to add all of these together so that we will know how many people exactly were arrested. That's my question.
It's not okay, I don't know. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Your question is very important. As for me,
exactly 26 people.
I know that exactly I was arrested along with 26 people.
Rough estimates.
So the others, they just give a rough estimate.
But
what I can remember, if I recall properly,
court I more 81 sile.
The people who went to court will be around 81 people.
And on release I more 7 to 8 sile.
And the ones released were about 7 to 8 people.
How long?
So the 81 people were the people who were taken to court. 7 were released before going to court. So one can say that 88 people were arrested from Jambanjeli on that occasion. There are still more which we didn't add up. When the guns were fired and the bullets ricocheted and wounded some people who were taken to the hospital, how many people? Those people are 4. Then the count will be now 92 people.
Mosapo victimol be nyin kokono meni ale mantorol sota na muluntanyo nchisifalu jambanjele kono atata fomo tankonondo mofula.
When one can say that the whole amount of people who were involved in this, who suffered, were about 92 people from Jambanjeli. Yes. When you were being released, were you released along with the minors amongst you?
Kabiri be mbulala itata welcome Joshua inata yembe bula truck killing kona nsaita.
Yes, when we were being released, they went to the Joshua prison and they brought along these minors. We were all put on the same truck and we were taken home.
O dinnengol fanambe nyin konto kono le yemen dinna jante fo olbe kontri fayel.
The children, the minors are among the 81 people. It looks like 5 minors were arrested and were released. And 4 sustained wounds after the shots were fired. Yes. That's the whole count among the youth. Yes.
Ebalu mo saba wolu makuyata imantambe kari worola metal baluring amantambe kari worola be fada.
About 3 elderly people.
Mofula.
About 2 elderly people.
Pakafuta aning aliketa.
2 elderly people, Pakafuta and Aliketa, they died. But at least some years kele janna be fa
sanji dan tankele
yes
and nyem Pakafuta ninketa ol mamtambe kar worole e fulo be banda
Pakafuta and Aliketa, it was around 6 months when they died.
Abarka baga ali haketu.
Thank you very much and I'm sorry.
Baraka baga
yang kay numbara komisana odiko wala bine nyini karo kala.
Thank you, Chairman.
Kay numbara kiaman.
Mr. Samba,
Mr. Samba,
Mr. Darboe,
Mr. Darboe,
and Mr. Bayo.
And Mr. Bayo.
Those who came to remove the borehole. What was the reason for them to remove it?
Kabiri nata meeting oto.
What they said when they came to the meeting was that
wala mo nyenti ko modo lebije minul solatala.
That there were others who were in need of a borehole. This is why we told them that as far as there was an old borehole which we were using, leave that old borehole for us here. Then the new one that you installed, dismantle that and take it away. This is what created the problem.
We're absolutely sorry. It's because of water, which is very important.
The
livelihood of every human being. That you had to be denied that commodity. We're absolutely sorry for what had happened to the whole village.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Imam Diallo, you have the floor, please.
Witnesses, this question is for any one of you.
Commissioner Imam Diallo wala laftal ñini kala ko ñin sedo ñini karo ñim aya kono fanole aldo do sa jabinole.
Can you tell the commission what happened to the borehole that was supposed to be removed? Was it removed or not?
Wal sa fono ñe ko borehole ñi lafta ka mem bondi no fo inata na bondi la man fo ma bondi.
Ya bondi le.
It was removed.
Kabire arrest fa pareta ya bondi le.
After our arrest, they came back and dismantled it and took it away. Up to now, it has not been returned.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Alamusol meltata sifo famto en injame ya jame benta dame toje. Ye forcé dum bankata do ko wala sifo famto bam fo wol lafital non ka ya jame je and inata sifo famina nyoje woleto kala mantoro fay.
The villagers, your female villagers who went to meet Yaya Jammeh at the C4 farm, were they forced to go there or to go and work on his farm, or they just went there to appeal to him?
Musolu ko molle ya foyo ko nalmanda ya Jammeh ay talike mal bulala alna ya Jammeh bina C4 farm altaje ali adani.
They said some people came to them and told them that Yaya Jammeh is coming to the C4 farm. You people should form a delegation and go there and appeal to him for your people to be released. This is why they went there.
So imafa lieka fu ye force le eta dokola ala family into natra oketa wabekela igapene collective punishment.
Amunta imeng afoye ke samba ila ala kunkoto pour kate do kundije katu niyo ketanu wolem ka jama be ka funyoma ke kulu ka kulur dimindingula mo jama kan.
No, emo for etata danirol.
No, they went there to plead with him.
Thank you very much. If you have any concluding remarks to make, please proceed to do so. We start with you, Mr. ABDOULIE SAMBA.
Ala baraka bake al nimbara bitung al fanalu bala kumo kumfala kuma kanglu menu la al lafta menu banke la jang aba fulo la Mr. Samba la bitung al fanal si femfo.
Ala baraka bake.
Thank you very much.
Be nying TRRC tentula.
My thanks to the TRRC.
Kandu nyumu kuleti mingi alonko purkan sambana jangan na satela kole akul sata.
Something like this to bring us here and narrate the ordeal the whole village went through. It looks like that a big load has been taken off our heads. Because me, since I was a young man, I always take a big stance in the village's problem, in the problems of the village. I was involved in many development projects of the village. This is why I was involved in this incident. This is why I want to thank and hail you. You have decided to remove the bad image of our village.
Against TRRC.
But I have one thing against the TRRC.
Alkamin foko never again.
What we are saying, never again.
Malum fo altol ka mira nyamen aninte ka mira nyamen nimballa moyle buka kilimbang.
I don't know whether the way you think about it or see about it and the way I see about or think about it, whether they are the same.
Kandu nyintajere nda sifa keta South Africa le.
Because something like this happened in South Africa.
Iko TRRC ya reconcile.
And a truth commission was formed there and reconciled.
Aketa Rwanda.
It happened in Rwanda.
Aketa Burundi.
It happened in Burundi.
Aketa Sierra Leone.
It happened in Sierra Leone.
Aketa Liberia.
It happened in Liberia.
Aketa Gambia.
It happened in the Gambia now.
Ndenga mira reconciliation o alnyanta mira do sotola ale punishment laje pour modul kana mira pour kake.
I think the punishment should be meted out to the people who were found wanting, so that it will be an example for others to not to do it again.
At the end of the day, reconciliation will be killer.
And as it goes on like this, at the end of everything, they said, let's reconcile. Later on, people will just say, let's do whatever we want to do, because at the end of the day, we are going to reconcile. Please, I'm sorry if I have offended anybody. And I want to extend my sincerest thanks to my villagers and my family, because throughout this problem, the whole village became seriously united. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samba.
Mr. Samba.
Just to clarify that our mandate here under the Act establishing the TRRC made it a principal objective of the TRRC to create this impartial record of human rights violations and abuses during the 22 years of the Jammeh rule.
Purunga kibaro kensung meya lonko wolem kibar tilindin seneari ngoti tarikoto meya lonko jiaya jammela sanji muani fula mararo tajire yal nin hadama ya nyanta tinyalu menu keta purunga be kensung ngabuntung.
In order to,
purunyin kamala,
among other things,
kujamale bakono bari wulukono,
to address impunity.
Purun meni ye kuruya luke ferosike kafoko kukana boje kute bolaje purun si kuntu onyato webai.
So it's not just reconciliation and healing.
Bara manke ko kafo kasai nyo kandoron ne mude kamolu jusolu nyabu amanda wotode.
And recommendations to prevent a repeat of some of these violations.
Ani ya marolu pur kafo ka nyo kanake.
But also, as I said, to address impunity.
Bari fana nyinda bijele puru kuye bo konyin kono melni tinyarol nin tajire yaluke kuye tamandi ila koluto.
Mr. Lamin Darboe, you have the floor if you have closing remarks to make, please.
Lamin Darboe ni fanambe kumafala bela kumokacha kumfala menna.
Ambarka Kiaman.
Thank you, Chairman.
TRRC molbe kondona.
My greetings to the whole commission of the TRRC. The good job you are doing for the country. This, what you are doing, the job you are doing, is something like you are teaching the people for tomorrow. We should try by all means and know what lies behind never again. That just like the abuses that took place in the past will never reoccur again in this country. And let's try and forgive one another. Because if we didn't forgive one another, there will be no end of fighting. If somebody does something wrong to you, if you cannot forgive, you take revenge on the person. Let's try and forgive one another and now face our country for development. Let's forget about all the advantages and the wrongs that took place and develop our country. My greetings to everybody. Thank you very much.
The burden that was placed on the people of Jambanjeli was not yours alone. Jambanjeli citizens are citizens of the Gambia. It was a burden for all Gambians. And we share your burden. Sir SAIKOU Bajo, you have the floor.
Sign Mr. Bayo Saikou bitung ifaransi la kumakangulu fo.
Assalamu alaikum TRRC.
Greetings to the whole membership of the TRRC.
Balu kondona.
I extend my sincerest greetings to all of you.
Allah doku kendo kam.
The good job you are doing.
Ntaka TRRC la moire janinde binala jam.
I used to listen to the TRRC even before I came here today.
Nali manjinde bika telefa.
If you don't close from the work, I don't put my TV off. What happened here? I did not mean for you people, the TRRC. No, people will not know what has really happened. People came to know what happened. It's because of the TRRC. It's because of you. The job you are doing, you people, you yourselves don't know the extent of it. We, the listeners who listen to you outside, we know the extent of the job you are doing.
Because so many years.
Because this thing happened at Jambanjeli so many years ago. If you tell somebody or some people about our ordeal, they will just take it as a story. If some people see SAIKOU Bajo at TRRC, they will be surprised. Because myself, I didn't think that I will come to the TRRC. We thought that people were going to be sent and take our statements and bring those statements to the TRRC. It is because of our village. This is why we encountered so much trouble. It's not our personal problems. It is something that happened to the whole village. Whatever happened there, it is because of the village. Because we hoped on our young people, our hopes were on our young people, likewise the country. And if you want to eliminate those young people, who are coming next? This is what was happening in this country. Anybody who wants to grow horns, they will break it out. Whoever wants to become right activists, they will break you. They didn't want anybody to tell the truth. And if you don't tell the truth, you are going to tell lies. And lies will never take us forward, no development. This is why I have a huge respect for TRRC. Because some things were revealed here. Had it not been for the TRRC, nobody will have known those things. Those things will remain in darkness. There was a time when you tell people here that people are being killed, they will ask you, have you witnessed it? And now it is clear that people were killed in this country. And before, people didn't believe. People said that's not true, it didn't happen. But why? People came to know about what happened here is because of the TRRC. What happened to us? If we didn't come to the TRRC here, people will not know. We were beaten to the extent that we ourselves knew really they have dealt with us. Gambia, we should accept one thing.
ka sabari ñoye.
Let's have a good mind for one another.
Hana fo ntele sembo warta kariti mbe nyin kela la moti kuno la je.
Don't say that I am more powerful than so and so. I will do whatever I want
Allah
to him.
is there for everybody.
Well, Allah is there for everybody.
Se sembo jay non can be.
You can use power on me today.
Next world se sembo jay ka ifanante kuno.
In the next world, I will revenge, and you cannot do anything about it.
We must pass judgment day.
And judgment day is must pass. Whatever you do in this world,
judgment day iba penalty
you will face the penalty on judgment day. I have never been to mile 2 since when I was born.
Kabrim flada mile 2 nga jeje nyala nko ozbillahi minash shaitanir rajim jam muna molle bi jantente.
When I arrived at mile 2, I called the names of Allah, saying that on the whole, human beings were incarcerated in this place like this. And the majority of people at mile 2 were incarcerated on advantages.
Because something people
Because among the 80-something people who were locked there, our group, nobody is guilty amongst us.
It will detain 27 days.
You go and detain a group like that for 27 days. We could have died. Anything could have happened to us. The food that they give it to us, if you throw it on this wall, it will remain there. And they want us to eat that kind of food.
That is very dangerous.
Very dangerous for us. Let's forgive one another. Let's not use power on each other. That's what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, all three of you, for your concluding remarks. To endure the violations that you have endured, for just a reason to get your livelihood, water, as Bishop had mentioned.
Dalilo meyo sabu ali lafta ali la balurang la hadamadung la balurang mantambi jiola ko bishop ya fo nyaming
kaw jiota drong ye baluala ye jiota kasel jiomotala, and that way futandi mile 2 wote kutide.
Just like the water that you use to drink to live and the water you use to perform ablution just to get that water, that's what took you to mile 2. That's very wrong.
So thank you very much indeed, for your testimonies and for your concluding remarks and for coming to testify before the Commission.
Allah baraka bake, Allah kumakangulu menu, ali kalimulu menu fajanka, Allah kumolu kumfa, Allah baraka bake, ali sonta purkana, Allah sedearo ke TRRC jang, Allah baraka bake, ali olu la kendolu menuta.
Council, are we ready with the next witness at 3 o'clock?
Mr. Chairman, that will be all for today.
That's all for...
Yes.
Well, thank you very much indeed. We will resume our proceedings tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the morning. Thank you all very much. La barka kendeke.
Baraka.
Meeting is adjourned.